Ladies and gentlemen, imagine just for a moment that the weight you've been carrying on your back, the opinions, the judgments, the whispers, the comparisons, suddenly falls off. Can you feel how light that would be? Can you imagine standing tall, breathing deep, and walking forward without that burden? Because that is what we're talking about. Live for yourself, not for others. We live in a world where people are obsessed with approval. We've been trained since childhood to ask, do they like me? Am I good enough? Did I meet their expectations? But here's the truth. You will never meet everyone's expectations. You cannot. And the day you stop trying, the day you refuse to live chained to their approval, that is the day you will finally start living free. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. The greatest accomplishment is not wealth, it is not fame, it is not being universally loved. The greatest accomplishment is being yourself, unapologetically, courageously, authentically. Stop worrying about what others think. Accept yourself for who you really are. I'm talking about living for real. Not pretending, not putting on a mask, not twisting yourself into knots just to fit in. Real you. Because the truth is this, if you don't live your own life, somebody else will live it for you. And you will wake up one day realizing you spent decades running on their track, chasing their approval, while your own dreams sat in the corner gathering dust. I've seen it too many times. People with incredible talent, incredible ideas, incredible energy, who never let their light shine because they were terrified of judgment, terrified of being disliked. But let me tell you something powerful. Freedom is being disliked. You want to be free? You must have the courage to let some people not like you. Not everyone is going to clap for you. And that's okay. Clap for yourself. That's where it begins. The reality is about. You cannot make everyone happy. That's not pessimism, that's reality. If you live to please people, you will die empty. Stop sacrificing your peace of mind for the sake of someone else's smile. Stop bleeding so others can feel whole. That is not kindness, that is self-destruction. Denzel Washington once said in a speech to young graduates, "You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse." Think about that. You can't take other people's approval with you when you're gone. You can't pack up the applause, the likes, the compliments, and carry them into eternity. What matters is whether you live true to yourself, whether you invested your energy into becoming the person you were born to be. And I'll tell you this, the most dangerous prison in the world is not made of concrete and bars. It's built from other people's opinions. The key? It's already in your pocket. The moment you decide to stop pleasing people, you unlock that door. Now, once you break free from the chains of people-pleasing, you need a direction. Because freedom without purpose is just drifting. That's why the next principle is this. Focus on self-development. Invest time and energy in becoming the best version of yourself. Read, train, work, fall, get up, and fall again. Keep growing. Stop measuring yourself against others and start measuring yourself against who you were yesterday. If yesterday you were scared and today you took one step forward, you're winning. If yesterday you procrastinated and today you acted, you're winning. That's growth. Jim Rohn, one of the great motivational philosophers, said, "Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Because the person you become is far more important than the title you carry, the money you earn, or the approval you get." Growth is fuel. Growth is momentum. Growth is happiness. What people often overlook. Right, self-acceptance. Because you cannot grow until you first accept where you are. You cannot climb until you admit your starting point. And you cannot love anyone else until you first love yourself. Look at the world. Millions of people are walking around like they're not enough. They hide behind filters, titles, achievements, just trying to prove their worth. But here's the truth. You are already enough. You've always been enough. Success begins not with becoming someone else, but with embracing yourself. Carl Rogers, the great psychologist, said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." Think about that. True change begins with acceptance. You cannot build greatness on a foundation of self-hatred. But when you accept yourself, your flaws, your scars, your past, you create solid ground for growth. Now hear me carefully. Your value is not determined by other people's opinions. Repeat that until it burns into your soul. Your value does not rise with applause, and it does not fall with criticism. It is constant. You are valuable because you exist. There's an old saying attributed to Theodore Roosevelt: "Comparison is the thief of joy." And he was right. The moment you measure your worth by others' standards, you steal your own happiness. Live for your purpose, not their praise. Live for your mission, not their measurement. Because at the end of the day, when the lights go out and you're alone with yourself, it won't matter how many people approved of you. It will only matter whether you approved of yourself. Years ago, a young man named Will Smith, yes, the same Will Smith who went on to become a global superstar, was terrified of failing in Hollywood. After his early success as a rapper, he was broke, in debt, and worried that he'd been a one-hit wonder. When he landed the role in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he almost sabotaged himself. He admitted in interviews that he was consumed by anxiety, afraid of rejection, afraid people would see him as a fraud. But here's what happened. One day, standing on that set, he made a decision. He said, "I can't live in fear. I have to bet on myself." He decided to accept who he was, flaws, quirks, inexperience and all, and bring his full self to the role. That decision changed his life. The show became a massive success, launching him into acting, then into blockbuster films, then into global stardom. What was the turning point? Not talent, not luck. It was the moment he rejected fear, rejected the need for approval, and chose to live for himself. And if Will Smith could make that choice in the face of millions of potential critics, so can you too. Your critics may not be millions. They may be a few family members, co-workers, or even strangers on social media. But their power over you is the same. Only what you give them. The foundation is living for real, refusing to please people, focusing on growth, embracing self-acceptance, and rejecting external approval. Let's push deeper. Because knowing these principles is not enough. You have to live them. You have to embody them. You have to walk into every day with them carved into your soul. That's the invisible fence keeping you locked in. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. But I'll tell you a secret. Fear is a liar. Fear whispers worst-case scenarios that almost never happen. Fear tells you you're not ready, when in fact the only way to get ready is to start. Nelson Mandela once said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." You need a life where fear no longer decides. You need courage. And courage is born when you stop caring about what the crowd thinks and start caring about what your soul thinks. Let me be crystal clear. Setbacks are not signs to quit. They are signals to rise. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the road to success. You cannot grow without falling. You cannot master without mistakes. The people you admire most, the ones whose names shine in history books, every single one of them stumbled, got knocked down, doubted themselves. The only difference is they got up again. Winston Churchill put it perfectly. Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. So next time you fail, don't ask, "What will they think of me?" Ask, "What did I learn? How can I grow?" That mindset shift changes everything. It turns wounds into wisdom. It turns rejection into redirection. It turns obstacles into opportunities. Another trap we must escape is the illusion of competition. We've been conditioned to see life as a race with winners and losers. If someone else succeeds, we think it diminishes us. That mindset is poison, because when you see others as rivals, you can't genuinely connect, you can't genuinely celebrate, and you can't genuinely grow. Here's the truth. There is no competition. No one can be you better than you. No one can walk your path, live your story, or carry your mission. Your race is against yourself, yesterday's version of you. When you stop comparing and start contributing, you win. Listen about contribution, because contribution is the antidote to approval. When you shift your focus from "do they like me" to "am I useful?" Did I help? Did I add value? Everything changes. Contribution gives meaning. Contribution gives joy. Contribution sets you free, and let's not get it twisted. Helping others isn't about self-sacrifice to look good. It's about fulfillment. It's about discovering that when you give, you grow. When you lift others, you rise. When you contribute, you feel a sense of purpose so strong that the applause or the criticism becomes irrelevant. Maya Angelou said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." That's contribution. That's legacy. That's the kind of approval that doesn't come and go. It lasts. Too many people are trapped in the past or paralyzed by the future. They say, "When I finally get that job, I'll be happy. When I finally get that house, I'll feel proud. When they finally recognize me, I'll feel enough." Stop. That's a mirage. Happiness isn't out there, waiting at the finish line. Happiness is in the present. It's in the choice you make right now to live fully, to love deeply, to grow courageously. Eckhart Tolle said it best. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. That doesn't mean you stop dreaming, stop setting goals, or stop planning. It means you find joy in the journey. It means you don't postpone peace until the stars align. You live it now. Now I know some of you are thinking, this all sounds great, but how do I live it? Let's get practical. Draw the line. Every time you face a decision, ask, am I doing this for me or for them? If the answer is for them, stop, recalibrate, choose differently. Daily growth ritual. Dedicate at least 30 minutes every day to personal growth. Read, exercise, meditate, journal, whatever develops you. Small, consistent actions create massive transformation. Affirm self-acceptance. Start your mornings with affirmations that anchor your worth. I am enough. I am valuable. I am worthy as I am. It rewires your mindset. Contribution practice. Ask yourself daily, who can I serve today? What value can I add? Shift from approval seeking to impact making. Embrace dislike. When someone disapproves of you, instead of shrinking, remind yourself, this is proof that you're living authentically. Dislike is not failure, it's freedom. Imagine standing at the end of your life, looking back. What will you regret more? That some people didn't like you, or that you never lived your truth? That you weren't universally approved of, or that you didn't follow your dreams? That you kept the peace, or that you lost yourself in the process? The answer is obvious. Approval fades. Regret lasts. Don't let other people's opinions write your story. Write it yourself, with bold strokes, with courage. As Steve Jobs once said, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. So, starting today, live for real. Stop worrying about what others will think. Accept yourself for who you are. Refuse to please people at the expense of your peace. Focus relentlessly on self-development. Embrace self-acceptance as your foundation. Reject external approval and live for your purpose. Because when you do, something magical happens. You wake up lighter, you walk taller, you speak clearer, you love deeper, and you finally discover the happiness that was waiting inside you all along. So go step into your power, step into your purpose, step into your life. Live free, live bold, live unapologetically. And remember, not everyone has to like you. Not everyone has to clap. Because the truth is, you don't need their applause. You need your courage. You need your authenticity. You need your purpose. And when you have those, my friends, you don't just live, you thrive.